Welcome to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and today we are going to play with our journal inserts. I'm looking forward to this because this is my favorite part. As you know, we started last week making the inserts, and this was my example, and I did finish it up, I think. I do this all the time. I think it's finished, and then I'll go back and, oh, maybe I could do that. So let me show you. We took a piece of Tim Holtz paper. I used either the backdrop or the 8x8, the new palette papers. Remember, I showed you that it was like the perfect dimension because I ended up with very little scrap. This was actually a background paper. And I create a background page or a back page and a hinge. And then to the hinge, I attached 4, sometimes 3, kind of depends on the size of the tag. You need to play with it because my goal is to have the front, but to have this picture back here peeking through. So it, invites you to turn the page. So I put the tags on, and then I decorate. And here we have, I use little people a lot, and I have to apologize because I think my little people are going to glare just a bit. So I'm sorry for that, but I have tried everything, and they're just going to glare. They're just going to be shiny. I made this decorative slide that I hooked on. I'll show you some of the slides I'm working on, and I used some others. I used a little milk top. Here's a little journal card. I used a little clip to clip it on at the top. I did decide, finally, I showed you last week that I was still kind of thinking about this one, and I thought about that for a pocket, and then I thought, let's just tuck this over here. I used the flowers to create a little tuck, and then I tucked those in here. And as you know, when we did the ticket too, we created a pocket, so we have places to tuck stuff up here too. All right, like I say, your imagination is the limit, or as they say, the sky's the limit. So whatever you come up with. I added one other thing. This was kind of this plain rust colored paper, and there wasn't anything going on, and I thought it was just too plain. I thought about hooking something up there, and then I remembered the washi tape, and I put the washi tape along the edge to kind of add something to it. And I did glue it down. My washi tape is getting old enough that it doesn't stick well. So even if it's new, I would suggest you glue it down because it does lose its stickiness over time. So that has been glued down so that it will stay. All right, so that is my example. And I will put it up here out of the way. We had several on the go, but I picked 4. Excuse my reach. I picked 4 that we can work on. So let me narrow it down to 2 even right now so that you can see them on camera. I liked the 2 that I used. No, is that the color palette paper? I think it is. No, that's the backdrop paper. But I liked the pink with it. And then this was the color palette paper that I just loved, the greens and the oranges. All right, and like I said, I usually start with a person. I usually want to tell a story. So I look at what I have and I think, what story do I want to tell? Now in the pocket, we have a pocket over here. Do I have tuck-ins over here? Yep, I do. I actually created my own journal card. If you'll remember, I had this for a pocket, and I thought, the colors and everything seem to go well with this. I was also thinking, you know, I told you I was more matchy-matchy and not clashy-clashy, and I think this is kind of clashy. But that's okay. That's okay. I kind of like it. All right, so I have my 2 cards over here. My picture that we put down the side on the tuck. And then from there, we're going to decide how we're going to decorate. And I just kind of threw some stuff out here to see how it looks. Let me move her over there one at a time. We don't want to get too confused. Now, I have a box of Tim Holtz stuff to my side. I have the little flowers, the little mushrooms, butterflies. I have the little milk caps. I have tickets. I've collected all this stuff over time. I am not telling you to run out and buy every Tim Holtz product there is, because believe me, I know that's expensive. A lot of times I would get my Tim Holtz stuff on sale at Hobby Lobby. Now, I have a dilemma. My Hobby Lobby is not carrying Tim Holtz anymore, which is kind of a bummer, as they say. So I have to look elsewhere. And I just buy little pieces at a time and kind of save them up. And then I have projects like this where I have things. If you do not want to run out and buy Tim Holtz, I did find some things in my scrap box that actually came from Tim Holtz papers. In my scrap box, I found these little bottle tops. Do you remember this paper? This paper came from way back when. And to me, you could use it just like you use a milk top. And I like using circular things just to kind of change things up for your eye. So I take my round punch. There's grape soda. I like that one. Make sure I lined it up so I get the word and it makes a, okay. Grape soda. I saw one that said punch too. Punch. All right. So you can go and use some of your papers. Maybe there are other things that you'd like to punch out in circle shape. I found a scrap piece of paper that has a butterfly. And wouldn't that be like a perfect pocket or a tuck of some sort? You could back it, although you could write on this. So there's a journal card that you've used from your scrap papers. And you don't have to run out and buy a bunch of Tim stuff. This was another Tim paper. I like the fact that it was measuring tape. It looks like old time measuring tape. And you can cut things out. All right, you can leave it as a square like that, or even bring it down to that little piece there. Okay, and use that just as a decoration someplace. All right, so we'll put that aside. I found a little piece of map from my scrap box. Once again, if you want to tell a story and maybe you want a little journal card with a map or some kind of decoration with a map on it. Here's another card. We could cut out the 117 and use it as a piece of ephemera. There are several little pieces you could use for ephemera. And I found 2 of those cards. And then on some of his papers, he had the squares. Do you remember the squares? I think he had rectangles too. So there were several different kinds of squares. This one had the game board. I guess this is a game board or something. And you could use this as a journal card. This came from a scrapbook paper. This is too big to use in my journal inserts, but I could use it for something. I could cut the bird out or maybe use it as a cover or accent piece somewhere. Then we have his backgrounds that had the color swatches. You could cut each one of those out and use them as ephemera. Here are calendar pieces. You could cut out a month and use it as ephemera. And this was from one of the old ones too, as I recall. The pictorial alphabet, which I have cut these out, and I have them in an ephemera book somewhere, because this could come in handy as ephemera. So use your imagination. Don't run out and buy a bunch of stuff if you have stuff that you can use. Even the paper, let me reach for it, that we used for this one, which was the orange palette. Okay. I love those flowers. Those flowers are beautiful. Even this one, the palette thing has the strips. All right, there's those strips, and then the strips go in this way. These way. Yeah, it's early in the morning. So you could cut the strips up, use the strips as ephemera, or you can cut them down into the little squares and use the squares as the ephemera. So don't feel like you have to buy all this extra stuff. Use your imagination, use what you have. And I'll bet you could come up with something very clever. Now, some of the things, you know, it might be nice to have the tickets. Although, once again, you could probably make that with scrap paper. So, some of the things you might want to get and other things you might want to make out of your scrap paper. All right. All right, so let's start decorating this one, the green and the orange. I created several slides. Some are still in progress. I like to use butterflies. Here's a butterfly. Sometimes I put pictures in them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're just interesting enough on their own. I love these moths. So I stapled a moth on there, used a little label, and I had some mushrooms. And because of the pop of color that the mushrooms provide, I thought that would be perfect. So I went ahead and I glued that down, stapled the moth on, glued the mushrooms down, and then I put grommets. And decided that it was going up here. All right, and what I did was I hooked it, and did I lose my, no, there it is. There it is. Okay. I hooked it up here. Make sure it's over far enough. You don't want it sticking out. Am I okay? You can see his wings, but I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. And then I kind of used it like a little tuck. And I tucked this piece of pink in here. You might want to find something else, but I thought the pink was perfect. I'm going to loosen that up a little because it's the clip that's actually holding it in there. All right, make sure you got room to close it. All these things you got to think about here. All right. Then we have our pocket down here, and I tucked this in. Make sure it's in the pocket part or it will come up through the front, and you don't want that. All right, have a couple tickets from the ticket book. I usually do two, and I usually kind of do it like that. And then I have the caps that I just love. Where are my caps? They call them, yes, milk caps. And there are some real cool milk caps in here. Once again, to add that circular, I love adding circular things here and there. It just makes it interesting. Okay. And then I found her. And I think she would be good sitting on the pocket. Now, I am going to remove my tickets for the moment while I glue her down. And I want to think about this because I do not want to disturb that pocket too much. So I think, because I'm going to disturb it enough that I don't think this will work, I may have to change. may have to change this up because, or put this in, then glue her and just make that a permanent feature, because the other thing is going the wrong way. Does that make sense? The tag is back upside down on this side. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue her down, which will make this permanent, which is fine. I am fine with that. Once again, to ink or not to ink is up to you. I am going to put a little around her edge so that she doesn't look too white. Give her a little antique-y look. Now, if you know you're going to have to tuck something in, I would not glue your little figures down. I would just put the glue kind of in the middle so that you had room to tuck things in. Now, I don't know that it makes too much difference with her because I've kind of decided already what I'm doing. All right, excuse my reach. I'm going to get my... And I want her to look like she's sitting. I do not want her to look like she's floating. So I think her bottom is about there, and I want her sitting on that pocket. So I'm going to put her right there. I like her there. Maybe scooch her down just a little. I don't really want her head touching that. Yeah, that's good. That is good. And I'm going to put my tickets back in the pocket. Like I say, you've got this other one glued down now, but that's fine. I am fine with that. You still got your little pocket for your tickets. All right. And you got a little tuck up here. You could tuck all kinds of things. You could even tuck something else on top of there. I leave things, I know my desk looks like it's a mess right now, but I like to leave little piles. It helps me and the creative process. As I'm decorating, things will come to mind and I'll think, oh, maybe I should try that. And so you'll see me, I may go back and forth between these. I may pull one out and then pull another one out, because even though I think this might be finished at the moment, I might come across something and think, oh, that would look cute there. Okay, doesn't work there. So you'll see me trying things and, you know, either they'll work or they don't work. All right, let's put this straight on. Next week, we'll have the finished products and I will show you, sometimes I put dangles on my clips. So I'll show you, what do they call it? I think they call it junk journal jewelry or something like that. So sometimes I like hanging some charms and things off of my journal inserts. So I think we'll talk about that next week when we're showing you the finished product. All right, so I had a woman, there she is, that I was thinking about. See, the sitting figures seem to work well. Okay, and I think I want her covering that hole. Okay, so let's, I think I already inked her. Yes, I did. So I'm not going to ink her anymore. And she might be someone that I tuck something under. So I think I am going to kind of leave, just glue the middle. Leave a little bit around the edge in case I want to tuck something under her. Okay. Once again, think about where she's sitting. I think I want her sitting there. Okay. Once again, these details may not mean anything to you, but They drive me crazy if I don't. In my mind, it should be a certain way. All right, I did have this one. If you'll remember, we made some of these little books, which I used. I'll show you some of the ones that I used. We made some of these. And then we made some little, let me reach over here, sorry. Some of these little tucks that I put a label. I took a larger piece, took a label, glued it on like it was a pocket, and then I took some of the other little ephemera and a couple little tickets, and I used that. This one was like one of those game cards. I glued a flower on there like it was a tuck, and then I put the butterfly, and that's a little white. You know what? I'm going to make it a little less white because to me it's a little too white for this whole thing. So there, we've knocked some of that white back. You could, in fact, I might do this later on. I have some rubs, and I might have something little, like a number or something I could put in there. That would be nice. All right. Now, the question is, where do I want this? Do I want this down here? I could put it in the clip that I have there. Or do I want it up here? That is the question. I think I'm going for up here. And I think if I'm going to attach it, I will use a staple. Make sure though, if you staple it, that you staple the card. And see, that's going to work because this is going to cover it. This will cover my staple, so that's good. All right, so let me take those out so nothing happens to them. I'm going to put that down a little, grab my stapler, which is farther back than I wanted it to be. And a staple right in there. Okay. And then you'll see this card is covering that. So that's fine. Works for me. All right, now let's put these back. And I think I want that behind the butterfly. Like that. Yeah. I like that. Now, I think we need something down here, but I'm not sure. So this is where I'm going to put her over here and wait. I'm sure I'll probably come across something that will be appropriate for that. So let me tuck this in at the bottom and grab this one. So as you see, I already glued my girl down. I think I'm going to go find some buttons. You'll have to wait until next week to see. I use buttons a lot of the time. And I'm probably going to put a pink string in the buttons and put the buttons there. And then I used once again, used a slide. Now this slide, when I cut it out, the horse was on the inside. Now, that's one of those happy accidents, and you go, oh, wow. So here, let me get this so it's not so white. Don't like all the white, especially when it's looking antique-y. All right, so I went ahead and I clipped this on because maybe this lady inside, this is my story. The story's coming out now. Maybe the lady inside owns a horse. And see, this is the lady when she was a little girl. See, I'm telling you, you could tell stories. This is one of these collage things that we just discussed. And I glued it on like a pocket so I can tuck something in. I haven't found the perfect thing to tuck in yet. Although, what do we have over here? We've got like that. I think we need something different though. Although maybe that goes with the horse thing. Well, we'll put it there now. We might change our mind. And then we're going to go inside, and I have used that clip again to clip this in. And these are the little people that I glued, and you'll see you don't see any holes on this side. Once again, I think I might want to put something on this hinge here because it does look a little plain, but we'll see. And then in the pocket, I tucked a green, it looks like a business card or something, some stamps, and then I found this cute little dog, and the cute little dog is looking at them. So I thought that was appropriate. And I found a strip to put on the tag to just kind of decorate it up. And we've got our cards in here, and I used the green to kind of bring the green and the pink out. So I think I'm good on that one. I think I like that one. Once again, I'm going to put the buttons on there, I know, and I will probably come back to that. All right, let me grab this one. Is this the... All right, we'll do that one. All right, so here's where I used one of these little booklets. You see, it goes out and in. Now this one, I deliberately did not, here, let me take these off of here. I deliberately did not put anything on that back cover so that when you can glue it, to the ticket, okay? I think it was a picture like this. So I went ahead and glued it to the ticket, have my picture, have my tuck. Then you can fold it back and you'll look at it that way. All right. I tell you, with these little pieces, I sometimes feel like I have sausage fingers because it's very hard to deal with them. Okay, and then you have to decide if you want to hook that down. And you know, I think I do. The question is, because they're all going to have jewelry on them, so all of them will have one of these. So keep that in mind while we're decorating them. But I think in order to kind of keep this closed so it's not flopping everywhere, I am going to use the little paper clips that I love so much because they're just so easy to put on. Can you tell I'm being a little facetious? Okay, we're going to put that on there just to kind of hold it. This is still going to flop a little, but at least this isn't going to open all the time. All right, so we're going to leave it like that. I have decided that we are going to put her in here. This looks, to me, this looked very kind of antique-y Western. And so I thought she was perfect in here. And I do think she's going to need a little inking because of where she's going to sit. And in fact, I'll probably put some on her white dress just to make her look like her background. And then put her on here. All right, so let's glue her down. Now she's big enough too that I think I'm going to not glue to the edge so that we can tuck if we want. So let me get some glue on her and get her down. Make sure you don't use too much. You don't want stuff oozing out all over the place because it's just not a good look. All right, and place her. Once again, we have kind of a blank hinge here that might need something on it. But I have some tape we could use. And then over here, I took one of these cards and glued it like a pocket so that we can tuck things in. I did not create a pocket here, so I made a tuck here. All right. So, and one other thing I should show you, one other thing, I'm probably going to show you several other things. Over here to my side in my box, I have the Tim Holtz made, that's not the right color, I want purple and blue, I think. Tim Holtz made the palette snippets, is what I'm going to call. That might not be correct. And I'm not sure that they're considered snippets because they're larger. In fact, I want the snippets. Have you seen the new palette snippets? That's probably why I said that, because they're on my mind. They're these items, except smaller. And I'm going to get some. I'm saving my pennies, because those will be fun. Those will be fun not only for the journal inserts, but for making these little flip things. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, what have I got there? So I want to find a couple of things to tuck. I have flowers. Do I want a flower there or not? Is that too much? Is that flower too much? Do I want smaller things? I don't think I want purple things. There are several purple things here, but I don't think I want purple so much as I want the blue. And, oh, here's that. That blue. Oh, now see, these are, and there's that. That's more the color I'm looking for. But I divided them up into colors. I have a little package for the purples and blues. I have a package for the pinks and greens, a package for the red and brown, and a package for the orange and yellow. So that when I'm working on something that is a certain color, I can pull that out. Well, this one might be nice too, the autograph. That might be nice in there. Here's a picture. I don't know. I don't know. Might need to be smaller. Okay, I already used that one. All right, so let's put these back. Let's put this mess back. Like I said, excuse the mess, guys, but this is how I work when I'm doing something like this. Oh, there's a card that might be cute too. All right, so do I want flowers or do I want this? Yeah, see, to me that's too matchy-matchy. I think I'm going with the flowers. I think I am. It's maybe that. And she needs something up there, definitely. I got another moth over here that was stapled onto this before I glued it. So see, it doesn't come through. Once again, you got to think of those things. Well, you don't got to, but in my mind, you must. I think I'm putting that card like that because I am going to put something over here. See, and that's why her skirt did not get. See, she's got room. She's got room, so I could put something right there and get it under her skirt. All right, she definitely needs something up here. Now, am I going to want another round? It's kind of round is kind of speaking to me. This guy, I had this guy, but I don't know. Do I want? He kind of echoes the Western theme, doesn't he? He would look good sitting there. Once again, I'm going to need two things to cover those holes. Stars, maybe. And he needs something up here. Now we have a book. We don't have a slide yet. And I did have a slide that was in browns. But I think we might have too many three-dimensional things, so maybe not. See, it's trial and error, trial and error. You just got to play around with them. Okay, so I'm going to ink him and go ahead and glue him on. Then we'll look at my last journal insert, play with it for a minute, and then I will do the rest off camera. And the next time we get together, I will show you the finishing touches. I will show you the end result and show you how I make the little jewelry that goes on to it. Once again, you don't have to do that, but it just adds a little something something in my opinion. All right, I want him sitting right there so he doesn't look any blob, just a little. Oh well, make sure you get the blobs. All right. All right, so we're going to put him, let's go ahead and put a clip on him though, because like I say, everybody's going to have a clip. That one has a clip. We'll give this one a clip. Okay. All right. Then we'll have this one. Let me take that off. I put another flippy book. Once again, you got to make sure there's nothing on that back page. And I need to find a couple of things to tuck here. And I may put a rub on there. Do I have anything small other than these? I could borrow these, I suppose. I could borrow that. Yep. Although he's a little tall. So if we're going to put that in there, we might need to cut it down. Because I don't want that hanging over. I don't want you to see the tall piece. So we're going to trim it down just a little. Squish it down as far as it'll go so it's not hanging over. Okay. Once again, let's put a little clip there so it's not flopping everywhere. Make sure I'm not fighting. It's awfully thick there. That's part of my problem. All right. We'll save him and glue him in a minute. So in here, I decided there's this red tag. Then there's all this kind of brown and black. So I decided red should be my theme. And I thought she was perfect for this. Now, you will see with these paper dolls that they have punch-out pieces. Sometimes the punch-out pieces are perfect, and other times it makes them look a little deformed. Just my opinion. So sometimes I just leave those in because I don't want her to look deformed. So I'm going to put some glue over there so they stay down. leave a little around the edge in case I want to tuck. I like using her at Christmas time. I don't know why, but I do. And I'm going to have her standing up here because there is a pocket. I glued the tag on once again, so this is a tuck because there isn't a pocket there. All right. And in that, I found this teacup with the red roses, and I thought that was perfect there. I will probably, do I have any red tickets left? No, I don't see. I see some with kind of a red edge. Oh, I like the 30. And you'll see that there is white on these, so we are going to ink a little. All right, and tuck that in there. And I want the teacup on top, so let's, all right, so I probably want, and this is where I probably will put the milk thing. So let's get my caps out and find a red. Yeah, I might do that one. Well, there's one with just red. You're probably yelling at me, no, use that one, use that one. I know, because I do it all the time. I am always telling Rachel and Gail what to do. They don't listen to me, but I'm always telling them. All right, and this is where I'm going to put the clip. I'm going to put the clip up here. Now, I can glue that. I have been known to glue that down and just glue part of it and use it as a tuck, which I probably will do now that I say that, because something else needs to go there. So let's go ahead, ink this, show you what I mean. I'm just going to put glue on about 1/4 of this. Make sure you know which way is up, what you're doing here. So I want my glue to go right there. Okay. Then I'm going to put that right there. Put that on. And find something to tuck. Let's see. Let's look at my red and brown. See if I have any small pieces I can tuck. Problem is, I use all my small pieces up. Oh, here's that. What's up there? Do I have 2 of them? I do have 2 of them. All right, it doesn't go very well there. Now, whatever it is, needs to be smaller. So I'll have to look around. We'll have to look around. But as you can see, it does work as a tuck. Okay, so we'll tuck something in there. And then let me get, I think I'm having him, because as you'll notice, our person showing is a little boy and a dog. So I think we're going to put this little boy and his dog over here. All right. Make sure you get the spindly legs and stuff, though, because you don't want those getting caught and ripped. Okay. Let's get him glued down. I think I want him standing on a line. Do I want him standing on that line or this line? I think that one. Okay. Glue him down. Something's probably going up there. Not sure what, but I'll be sitting and playing with these, and you'll see that in the next video. You will see the completed journal inserts, and we'll make the jewelry, and they really will be complete. All right, so let me put those aside. I won't keep you much longer because I've already kind of surpassed my time, which I do. I mean to go 30 minutes, and can I go 30 minutes? No. No, it's very hard. So I'm sorry. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself and you've stuck to the end. I had a request for a bundle of my Tim Holtz ephemera. So I'm going to do that for my #1 fan and get together some of my Tim Holtz ephemera. And before, if you've been following my shop for a while, I've had these Tim Holtz pouches that I make out of scrapbook paper. And I put envelopes, and we make an accordion pocket to put ephemera in. So I have been known to fill these with Tim Holtz ephemera and sell them in my shop. So I think the next time, not only will we make, I'll show you the finished product, the finished journal inserts, we'll make the jewelry, and I think we will start with this so that you have something to put all your nice ephemera in that you're making along with me. At least I hope you're making along with me. And if you are, leave some pictures. I'd love to see what you are making. Thank you so much for your support, for following along, for just, you know, the fact that you're just watching is a huge encouragement, and I just want to thank each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps the channel. Ring the bell for notification. Comment, even if it's to say hi. Hi, I'm here. That would be great. Just a simple little comment. Sometimes people just leave hearts. That works too. And bring your friends. Invite your friends. I'd love to have more people come along. It's a party. I hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And until we meet again, let's get crafty.